You know, we're at a very interesting point when it comes to America, the 2024 election, Democrats, Republicans, independents, establishment versus anti-establishment. This whole thing really started back in 2015 when it looked like the Republican Party, the Democratic Party, were going to go through normal primary processes. The Republicans probably going with Jeb Bush, maybe Ted Cruz or the young Marco Rubio. The Democrats going with Hillary Clinton. Now, for the Democrats, of course, it worked out just as planned. Sure, Bernie Sanders gave her a scare, but that was the establishment pick. With the Republicans, it was a little bit different. Donald Trump, the businessman, coming out of nowhere and becoming the nominee with, I would say, virtual sheer force. No matter what they did, no matter how many of them were against Trump, it didn't matter. Trump simply had the support. I guess they all could have dropped out and concealed their support around one candidate to lift him up against Trump, but they did not do that, and Donald Trump ended up being the candidate. You saw all the polls, all the news outlets say Hillary's got a 95% chance, a 98% chance. Trump ends up pulling it off, winning. So Trump becomes president. No, the world didn't explode. No, we didn't immediately enter World War III. Sure, there were some rocky times, but Donald Trump going into his 2020 re-election had a very good economy. The total favorability amongst Americans was 76%. And then the pandemic happened and he shuts the country down 8 months before the 2020 election. Meanwhile, the Democrats completely rig another primary where Joe Biden receives just 8% of the vote. In the opening state, Bernie Sanders ends up winning it. Of course, the Democrats, angry, force everyone to drop out of the race, support Biden to be able to beat Bernie Sanders. That's exactly what happens. Joe Biden ends up using the pandemic as an excuse to not go out and campaign, and the Democrats run on removing the big bad evil Donald Trump, and they were, I guess you could say, successful. And here we are today on the eve of the 2024 election. And it's funny because Joe Biden has a horrible approval rating. You look at any of the numbers, they're all bad. No president has been reelected with this bad of a rating. Any run-of-the-mill data expert will tell you if the Republicans just ran a normal establishment Republican candidate, they would have it in the bag. There's no way an independent person in this country would vote for Joe Biden based on his approval rating right now, based on the fact that he can barely form a sentence. It just wouldn't happen. But there might be one guy that Joe Biden can beat, and that guy is Donald Trump, but it doesn't seem like Republicans really care. I think Republicans understand, yeah, if we elect Nikki Haley, she's very likely going to win against someone like Biden. DeSantis, the same. But we really don't care about that. That's not what this is about here in 2024. They view that as going backwards, going with the establishment candidate. Seems like nothing ever changes, no matter the party. Nikki Haley is no different than Joe Biden. Joe Biden is no different than Gavin Newsom. They're all the same. They're all establishment. So it really doesn't matter to these people if an establishment Republican would very easily beat Biden, which I think it's obvious that's true. It's not worth it. They would rather put their support behind Donald Trump, and Donald Trump facing indictment after indictment, 50 years in jail, 100 years in jail, 200 years in jail, not doing the debate, and his numbers within the Republican Party only go up. And I guess I'll get into some actual political strategy on my hypothesis behind what the Democrats are doing. There's a number of different things they could be doing. Number one, this very well could be a political strategy to coax more Republican support for Donald Trump. You can say what you want about Democrats and their strategy, but these are not stupid people. They understand that they throw indictment after indictment against Donald Trump. That is going to unite the Republican Party behind Donald Trump and view this as the establishment of America single-handedly trying to derail his entire campaign. It's only going to make the support for Donald Trump stronger. So the question you have to ask yourself, are they doing this on purpose to try and unite Republican support around Donald Trump? Because they know deep down in their heart, the only way Joe Biden wins is in a matchup versus Donald Trump, because the only way you're getting anyone to vote for a crippled old man who can't speak is when you've got a candidate who's facing 200 years in jail, a candidate who's going to start World War III, a candidate who's completely unstable and not politically correct. They might realize that they need Donald Trump to be the Republican nominee. They need him to face Joe Biden because that would be the only way Biden could win. But then there's also the idea they just straight up hate Donald Trump and they want to embarrass him and actually try and put him behind bars. That could also be a theory as well. And at that point, it gets really messed up considering Donald Trump is not doing the Republican debates. He did not sign the pledge to support the Republican nominee. If Trump somehow gets disqualified, theoretically he could run as an independent. That would of course derail the Republican chances. That might also be what the Democrats are hoping will happen. But the gist of the story is, you look at the American political climate right now in 2023, and the Republicans have it right in their hands. They have the win. They've got the weak candidate, but they would rather go with someone like Donald Trump because if they elect another establishment person, they view that as losing as well. A Nikki Haley versus Joe Biden matchup to a lot of these people is a lose-lose. That's the idea of supporting Trump and all the years he's facing in jail. Getting on the wrong side of the United States government, well, that's a tough thing for anyone to overcome, even if you are a billionaire. And it's funny because if Joe Biden was on the wrong side of the United States government, I'm pretty positive he would be facing multiple decades in jail for corruption with his son. But of course, he's not on their bad side, so no one cares about him. It's all about Trump and putting him behind bars. And even with all these indictments, all these other Republican candidates, they could have it so easy if they just supported one of these other people. You've got Biden and his horrible approval rating. It's an easy win. But it's not about that. This is about a total detachment from the establishment political class in America. And that's why no matter what, we're actually seeing Trump get more and more support after the indictments. And you know, coming into these primaries, you discuss strategy, who should go after who should the Republicans nominate if they want to beat the Democrats, who should the Democrats go with. It is kind of ironic that the one person the Democrats hate the most, Donald Trump, might be the only person that keeps them in office past 2024. Not that it matters all too much to many of these Republicans, as I've learned, especially the past several months. It's not about winning in 2024 with some establishment schmuck. No, to many of these people, it's about completely uprooting the current political climate and the elite establishment class in America. So I guess we'll see what happens. Will the Republicans go with Donald Trump? Will the Democrats try and put him in prison? Will Joe Biden be the Democratic nominee? That's all speculation. But one thing that's not speculation, based off the past few months of proven support, is the fact that many Republicans simply don't care. They don't care about the indictments. They don't care about the charges. It seems to galvanize them even more, even if Trump does give the Republicans a worse chance of winning the 2024 election. Guys, that's going to do it for this video. Make sure you're following me on X. Link to that's always in the description.